Okay, hi, welcome to the fourth class of the CSO 80, which tonight we are going to build a computer. Unfortunately, you guys can't be here, and that's, again, unfortunate because there's always a hands-on, it helps you learn the best, but I will do my best here to do a computer in front of you. Probably go relatively quickly, and then please take notes as we go. So after we look at this video, we can talk about it, and if you have any questions, I can answer them, okay? So you see I'm in my house right now. I've got all my setup, my lights, so hopefully everything's going to be fine for you. I've got all my equipment over here, tools, all my parts, case, tools, screws, everything. So let's get started. All right, this is our case that we're going to start out with. Cases are in very different styles, different colors. And as you can see, the front and the back. And if you notice, on this side, there's air holes. But on this side, it's flat. I'm going to show you the reason why. So first thing, let's take the two screws out in the back. They are called thumb screws, so we don't need any tools whatsoever. Thumb screws you can use. So put those over here, and then the top comes out like this. And the side, all they do is pop out. And as I said earlier, see this side is all flat with no air holes. This side does have air holes. And if you notice one thing, if you ever put this back together, they will go on either side. But the reason why for the air hose, this side is flat, doesn't need the circulation as much as this side. So you always want to make sure you watch where those air holes are, and you want to put it on the side for ventilation. Okay? So let's get started here. First thing I'm going to do, I took the sides off the case, as I said, and let's grab all the parts here. I've got a motherboard, and that's where we're going to start. And as you open it up, you're going to come with two SATA cables, a CD, which has all the drivers for the motherboard on it, and a manual. So you always want to make sure you look at the manual ahead of time and read it if you have the time. And this is a motherboard. As we discussed in class, you can put your memory on it, your CPU, everything is on here. If you notice, I haven't touched it yet because I've got my wrist strap on, but it's not connected yet. So let's do that. And all it does is snap on here. And it's relatively snug on here because you want to make sure you got a good connection. So, and I'm just going to touch the metal part just like this, okay? Sometimes it does fall off. Sometimes I do use it without it. You know, if it falls off, I just make sure I touch the metal part of the case, and that way you're kind of safe. So, okay? So let's take this motherboard out. And as you say, I always try to grab it by the edges. Right there, this is a good motherboard, so you gotta be careful with it, okay? So again, let me take this off though, because sometimes it gets a little restrictive on there, but again, as I touch this, you're okay, you're fine, so. As you can see, I can put the motherboard in the case now, but if you do, it's kind of hard to see inside of what you're doing. So what I always recommend is populate on your motherboard what you can before you put it on, okay? So there's different things we can do first. We've got your two memory sticks and your AMD CPU. So it doesn't matter which one you do first. Let's pick on the easy one first, which is the two memory modules. Okay? And as you can see, on this motherboard, blue, black. Normally, number one, number two would be the blue. So if I'm going to put two sticks of memory in here, I'm going to put it in the two blue ones. If you're not sure, you always look in your manual. So let's put that in now. And again, these are static, sensitive cases, so you want to be careful, okay? Again, I don't have my strap on. I'm just going to touch the metal part. And open it up. And always try to make sure you handle it by the edges. See these gold parts right here? Don't put your fingers on there. Remember in class, it's for the static. And as you can see, there's a slot here and a slot over here, and the memory's only going to go in one way. If you put it in the wrong way, you're going to break something. So on the top of the motherboard is your memory chips. These little clips here, you press them out, okay? And then you want to match up your memory stick to make sure the slot goes, not the other way. You put them in straight in, and some people are surprised. They're afraid to push down on it. That's the way they are. They are hard to push in. So I always recommend don't put your fingers on the side here like this, because when you push it down, these clips slip in place. Both sides, clip, clip. Did you hear those two clips? That module's now in. So let's go in the second blue one over here, and I'm going to do the same thing. So over here is the memory module. Again, you've got your slot right here, so make sure it goes in the right way. I'm going to plug it in here. Again, it only goes in one way. Ready? Click, click. Now those two memory sticks are in the motherboard. We're all ready to go. Now let's go for the main thing, which is the CPU. Okay? And it's an AMD processor. What do we got in here? We have a heatsink, which is unfortunately aluminum. Remember in class, sometimes the more expensive ones have a copper core in here for better heat distribution. This is El Cheapo, not too bad. So this is aluminum, and you got your fan on the top, and you got your connector here. Remember we talked about the CHA fan, which means chassis, or the CPU fan, which is the CPU. Of course, you want to plug this in on the motherboard to the CPU fan. Okay? All right, so this is not static sensitive. You don't have to worry about this, right? There's nothing on here. This, on the other hand, is your CPU, which is very sensitive. All right, again, I want to make sure you touch something metal on here. And on your motherboard, remember the CPU socket there? It's called the ZIF socket, ZIF, zero insertion force. Before you put that CPU in there, you got to make sure that ZIF socket is up, the lever. All you do is press it down and lift it up. So now that is ready to receive the CPU. And also remember in class, there's a little triangle on the CPU, and there's a triangle over here. You want to make sure you put it in the right way. If you bend these pins, you might, again, just might be able to put those pins back once. After that, it's no good anymore. You might as well toss it out. So again, by the edges, I'm going to touch this again to make sure. I want to make sure the CPU is lined up with the triangle here, triangle there. All you do is basically you almost drop it in place. And there's not much, just a little tap. Put the lever down in, it's locked in place. Very simple. All right. Then we have to put on this heatsink and fan, right? But what do we have to do first? We have to put in that heatsink paste, right? We're going to put that on the top of the CPU. We're going to put this heatsink on here, smear it a little bit, and then we're going to lock it with these two clips on the side. Okay, let me make sure this is in the right area to lock. Okay, so put that over here for now. And we're going to get some heatsink paste. There's various paste out there. This is, I got this at Radio Shack years ago, and it's still good, but for what we need it for, it's fine. But if you're going to use this for home use all the time, you want to use a really good heatsink. Arctic Silver, it's cost like $15, $18 for a small tube like this, but it's for very good heat conductivity. That's what you want to use. How much paste do you put on there? It's a good question. You always want to make sure you put the paste in the center, like a little blob in the center, not a circle, and you definitely don't want any holes in the middle. You know, you don't want to make a circle like a donut with a hole in the middle, because that will be, the heat won't be dissipated enough. So what I'm going to do is just put enough in the center of it. And that's really all it is. I know it's hard to see. Let me close this up here. Touch this here a little bit. A little bit hard to see, but as you can see, it's right in the middle right here. All right, and then I'm going to put the heatsink on, smear it a little bit, and then I'm going to lock it down. If for some reason you smear it down, you lock it, and you forgot and made a mistake or something happened, you can take it off again. But you got to make sure you clean off all the heatsink all over again with some alcohol, start fresh all over again. You don't really want to reuse it again. All right, so let me put this on and lock it into place. And let me see. Be careful here a little bit. Smear it a little bit. There. Clip it on the side. Sometimes it's hard to get in there. It's hard to see sometimes. And then you lock in the other side. And then this is your lock lever. Once these two clips are on the both sides, here's your lock lever. You want to bend it, and there you go. And this takes a little bit of pressure, but now the heatsink is on top of the CPU, and it's smashed that heatsink compound. So you got a good nice feel right now. And here's that wire I talked about earlier. It goes to the CPU fan. So you want to make sure you look where it is. It's the CPU fan. It's right over here on this side. And then you just plug it in. Okay? So at this point right now, we're pretty much populated what we can do on the outside before we put it in here. Okay? So looks pretty good. Here's your back. This is all your ports, your RJ45, your SATA ports, VGA, DVI, all your ports are on the back right here. So let's get some of the stuff out of the way. I always try to put your packaging back together, so if you ever need to again, you can repackage it. So this over here. Okay, there's a manual and stuff, so let's put this guy in here. It can be tricky. Put it in now. As you can see, you got all these wires here. Let's get them out of the way. Get one over here. And I know it looks complicated, but once you put it together, it's really not.